Welcome back to Advanced Class. Lesson today. We're diving into the concept of double colons and how to use multi-prompts effectively in creative work. You might be thinking, wait, I already know what double colons are. Isn't that just the difference between hot dog and hot dog? Exactly. When we first learned about multi-prompts, this is the classic example. Using double colons to separate compound words like hot dog, the food, and hot dog, a warm canine. Other similar examples include spaceship versus spaceship, or cheesecake versus cheesecake, but in real creative projects. Examples like these aren't very practical. Today, I'll show you how to use multi-prompts to clearly describe and separate two different scenes or subjects. For instance, the ocean at sunset and an old man on a boat. Before we begin, here are a few key things to remember. This technique is somewhat similar to the blend feature, which merges two images into one. The difference is that blend combines visible images, so the result is fairly predictable. Multi-prompts, however, makes two sets of text-based ideas, creating more unpredictable and often surprising results. When you add two prompts with double colons, but don't specify numbers, the system automatically gives them equal weight, or 50% each. One important note, multi-prompts only work in earlier versions of the model, such as V4, V5, or V5.1, V5.2. They won't function properly in newer versions. Now, let's go back to your workspace. If both prompts are set to a value of 1, you're using a 1-to-1 ratio. In that case, the ocean and the old man on the boat will share equal focus, creating a balanced, mid-range composition. But if you want to emphasize the old man more, to give him a closer, more emotional focus, increase the second prompt's weight to 2, while keeping the ocean at 1. Now, the ratio is 2-to-1, and the AI will prioritize the old man and the boat, producing a more intimate, character-centered image. If you want the opposite, a wider view with the sea and sunset taking center stage, just reverse the numbers. Set the ocean prompt to 2 and the old man's prompt to 1. That again gives a 2-to-1 ratio, but now the focus shifts toward the ocean. So how does this ratio work? Think of the total weight as 100%. One ratio means 3 total parts. That gives roughly 66% to the first prompt and 33% to the second. Simple enough, right? Now, let's say your image comes out to ocean heavy, and you want to bring the old man and the boat back into the frame a bit more. You can fine-tune the balance. For example, set the ocean and sunset prompt to 3, and the old man and boat prompt to 2. That's 5 parts in total. Dividing 100% by 5 gives 20% per part, so the first prompt gets 60%, and the second gets 40%. This adjustment brings the old man and boat back naturally into the composition, adding more balance to the scene. Don't worry, this isn't a math class. If numbers aren't your strong suit, you can just look at a ratio chart to understand how the weights distribute visually. Now, let's make it a little more creative. We'll add style references to each part. For the first scene, the ocean wheel used the cinematic style of director Ang Lee, inspired by Life of Pi. For the second, the old man and the boat wheel applied the artistic style of Vincent van Gogh. Then, by adjusting their weights, we can compare how a more film-inspired version of the old man in the sea differs from a more painting-inspired version in Van Gogh's style. You'll notice that sometimes the numbers aren't whole values. They might be decimals. That's because the exact number matters less than the ratio between the two prompts. It's this balance that determines the final mood and focus of the image. So here are 2 creative questions to think about. First, what's the difference between generating the old man and the sea entirely in Van Gogh's style versus using multi-prompts to apply his style only to the old man and the boat? Second, what's the difference between simply blending Ang Lee's and Van Gogh's styles together and using multi-prompts to let each define its own part of the scene? Alright, that wraps up today's lesson. With multi-prompts, you can guide your AI not just to blend ideas, but to balance and contrast them beautifully, achieving results that feel rich, expressive, and full of creative harmony.